Hi everyone. I'm just making this video to give you an overview of the syllabus, just like we would in like the first day of a regular class. I am recording it from home, so you may hear my doggies in the background. Um, so the first thing you want to pay attention to are these tips for success in online courses. We do not meet anytime, this class used to be taught in a webinar style format where we would kind of meet, quote unquote meet twice a week, and then next time it turned to once a week, and now we don't meet at all. And it seems like it's been going fine. So, but the key to this course is that you have to have good internet. You have to have reliable internet. If you're somewhere where your internet goes out or something, please think about a backup location. For me, that is Panera. It's also McDonald's. It could be the library. It could be, I feel like almost anywhere now has Wi-Fi. So please make sure that you find a backup location. There's a lot of reading in this course and a lot of work, and it may feel like, oh my God, I'm dying with all this work, but think about, we're supposed to be meeting technically, I think it's like 8 hours a week, and on top of that, you're supposed to have homework. So just sort of keep that in mind as you're doing the work. The key to an online course, obviously, is, you staying on top of it. So we have lots of weekly assignments for you to be submitting. It's not like something that, you're going to have to do all at the end. So just do your best to stay on top of those assignments. Here are some of the assignments that you're going to do, but I do have short little descriptions that we'll go over. Obviously make sure your speakers are working, but if you're listening to this, I'm assuming they are. There's probably like one video every week that I post, just as like maybe a mini PowerPoint or something like this. Sometimes I'll film with the video of me talking. I'm working from home today, and so I'm not in my office, and my dogs are running around like crazy, so I just created this video without filming myself. All right, let's go into some assignments. The first thing you need to do is your syllabus and Blackboard quiz, which I think it's only like 2 points, and I'm 90% sure you can go back in and fix your answers if you realize what you got wrong. The point of this quiz is not to really test you. It's sort of like, pay attention to these really important things in the syllabus. So those are some things that you want to make sure that you're aware of. You have discussions every week. So at this point, maybe there's a few of you who have already started the first discussion, which is, just introduce yourself, and there's an article attached that I want you to read and post your reactions to. There are discussion requirements at the end, which I'm going to go through just to sort of explain the timing and the specific requirements for how to get all your points. You have reading guides due, which are basically just like 10 to 15 questions for every chapter that you read. And there's a lot of them, and that's because in the traditional face-to-face classes, you take quizzes. So this takes the place of those quizzes. You also have you may have a few IRIS modules, which are actually external modules hosted by other institutions that are topics in special ed. So there may be a topic that I feel like your book doesn't really cover, or covers in a different way that I would really like. So that's where I kind of look into the IRIS modules, and there will be an explanation of when those are due and how to complete those. You do have a series of lesson plans due. I think you have 3 that you have to write. If you've never written a lesson plan before and this is your first education class, that is completely fine. That's how I sort of approach this assignment. Basically meaning I just want to get you to the bare minimum of what you need for a plan, and I basically make it very explicit. Like, here are the 4 pieces of the plan that you need. So if you've taken the curriculum and assessment course, you probably have more information than I sort of want you to have. And I'll go into, when those lesson plans are due, I'll provide some more information, but don't panic is the point of that. You have a classroom management plan that you have to write up. The other, another assignment that you have to do is an interview. So you're going to have to interview someone involved in special ed. And pretty much anybody who works in a school is involved in special ed. So Think about a special ed teacher, a general ed teacher who has had kids with disabilities in her classroom, related service professionals, so an occupational therapist, physical therapist, speech language, social worker. You can interview a student with a disability. You can interview a parent of a child with a disability. There are many, many ways, many options for this assignment. The reason why it has 3 asterisks is because I know that a lot of people are often, just sort of working on assignments as they're due. Your interview, obviously, you're going to have to sort of set up ahead of time so you're not scrambling at like midnight to try and find someone. So just be aware of that. You have a philosophy of teaching diverse learners due at the end. This is just kind of like a wide open assignment that it's typically pass-fail as long as you sort of put some thought into it. And then for the students who are taking 510 for the graduate credit, so this is not, if you're an undergrad, you can tune this out, but graduate students, you have to write a research-based paper and develop a brief PowerPoint on the topic. So that'll be explained more in depth, but that is something also that you're probably going to have to get started a little bit ahead of time because it's a little bit of a hefty assignment. All assignments have to be typed. Being that this is an online class, that usually, is not a problem. Please upload all your assignments as Word or PDFs. Do not submit your assignments as pages or Google links. I know that sounds like maybe I'm being a little bit picky, but it is very difficult for me to try and open an assignment. I can't open it if it's in pages. And then I have to email you. I have to clear the assignment. And it just gets a little bit crazy because you guys have assignments coming fast and furious, and my email does not stop over the summer. My inbox just piles up. So I would just ask to please submit your assignments as Word or PDF. Here's how your assignments break down, your points. So I will say that the students who are in 510, it gets a little bit funky here because the reading guides are all due 2 points. For students who are enrolled in the undergrad section, but graduate, it's only worth 1 point, and that's because you have that extra assignment of that paper. Just typical grading scale. Here is a really important document, which is your schedule. So the first week, you can see, I'll walk you through the first week. So here are the dates. Started on Monday, and it closes out on Sunday, the 27th. At midnight. So here are kind of like the topics that you go over. Here are the readings that you have to do this week. So you have to read chapter 1 in your textbook, and you have to read the article that's linked. I think it's linked in your discussion. And then your assignments are, you have to do the reading guide for chapter 1, and you have to do the Blackboard quiz. And then finally, your discussion, which is introductions and respond to the article. So your assignments are 2 things, the reading guide and the syllabus, but then also your discussion is kind of like another assignment, but it has its own little column, so don't forget about that. So then, once midnight hits on Sunday, we roll into week 2, and you have to do the reading guide for chapter 2, you have to read the inclusion chapter, and then you have to do an IRIS module on the self-regulated strategy. And then here are your assignments that are due. Your reading guide for chapter 2, your reading guide for the inclusion chapter, so you can see how those match up. You have questions for the IRIS module. You have a case study questions due for around services and lesson plan 1. You also have a discussion on inclusion. Week 2 is a hefty week, right? Week 1, not a lot of work, but please be aware that as you go into week 2, you're going to get a lot more work, and that's the pace that we're going to move at because the class is only 6 weeks. And if you think about a regular semester is like close to 14, 15 weeks. So the work comes fast and furious in an online class. You have to keep up with it. All right. Just please take note that the very last week, all your assignments are due Friday at midnight instead of Sunday. The reason for this is because my grades are due, I think, Monday. And for me to get all those final assignments graded, I need just a little bit of turnaround time. So that weekend, I basically live on my computer and I grade. Please note, late assignments are due by midnight on Sunday, other than this discussion post, which we'll talk about. If you are unable to turn the assignment in by the start of the class period or, by 11:59, a letter grade, a 10% deduction will be made for every day that you do not turn the assignment in. So you got 5 days and then I don't even take the assignment anymore. So it is in your best interest to turn assignments on time. There is nothing to say that you cannot work on your assignments ahead of time and turn them in early. I mean, it sort of makes sense for you to kind of group, like all the assignments are grouped by topic. So, but I know some of you may have vacation, some of you have work, some of you have, what's called a life outside of school. So please, just budget your time accordingly. However, you do get one kind of get out of jail free. So you get one assignment that you can turn in late, and you have to email me when the assignment is due, and then you have a week. You have a whole week to turn it in late. So please think about using that. If you don't use it, if you don't use that late pass, you don't take advantage of it, I do give you an extra credit point at the end. So hang on to it. Again, the Word or PDF that comes up twice in my syllabus. That's how important it is. Make sure you're typing, respectful discourse. So some of the topics that we talk about are, can be close to people's hearts. You may have a family member or someone with a disability. So please just be respectful. I've never had a problem with that in my online course. So I don't anticipate problems, but I do just put it in there. Email. Please email me. If you don't hear from me in 24 hours, email me again. I will not get irritated. This is my job. This is what I get paid to do. It's just sometimes my inbox piles up. Just like you guys, the summertime is a little bit crazy for me. I do have 2 young kids, and June is kind of a nutso month for me. The only time that doesn't apply is over the weekends. Unless it's like an emergency, I do try and check my email because your assignments are due Sunday night. So I do try and just, check in if there's an emergency, I will respond. But if I don't respond within 24 hours over the weekend, give me till about Monday noon, and then I'll try. And also Memorial Weekend, I'm traveling over that weekend, so I may not be great about emails. There is no midterm. The access, academic integrity, I rarely have issues with those, so I don't anticipate. Let's quickly talk about your discussion. So in an online class, it's hard to connect with students. So you have the two goals of the discussion is, one, to connect with your classmates and also with me. This is, you'll get a lot of feedback from me in your assignments, but sometimes the discussion is nice to have kind of a back and forth. The other point of the discussion is to sort of explore new topics, reinforce ideas just in a different way. So it may be that you've already, you may discuss a topic that you've already talked about or we've covered in class, or it's something new that's sort of like, get ready, here's where we're going with this. In order to earn full points on the discussion, you have to do basically 2 things. One, post a thoughtful response that includes a link to either the readings, class information, or resources. Link meaning a connection, not like an actual physical link to the internet. So like, oh, in the reading it said this, or in class we talked about this, or in the past we've talked about, so there's got to be some like deeper, thoughtful response. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I agree with this, blah, blah, blah. It's got to be somehow connected to the course. And then you're going to have to comment on each other's posts. So what this will look like by the end of the week is that you have 3 comments that you're going to make. These can be across different posts. It does not have to be on the same post, but it can be. And these 3 comments must be spread across the week, meaning you can't just go in and post your response and then comment 3 times and then check out of the discussion all week. That's not really a discussion. So again, make sure that this is a little bit of a thoughtful response. Don't just write like, yes, I agree, and then that's your response. We want something that's a little bit deeper than that. Every discussion initial post, except for the first one, is due on Wednesday of the week. And then all your comments are due on Sunday. So when you think about the weeks for the next 6 weeks, always remember that Wednesday you have something due in your discussion, and then your comments and all your assignments are due Sunday night. So those are kind of your 2 big days, Wednesdays and Sundays. Here's how you're graded. So you get a half a point for your initial post being on time. You get 1 point for just making sure that it is content-based and it has a reflection. You get half a point for readability, meaning font size, type, few to no errors. We want to be able to read it. Sometimes you may cut and paste something. Just make sure you're formatting that so it's easy to read. And then you get 1 point for just making sure that you get all the number of postings required on time and across days. And you have to have all to get that final point. The last discussion, only grad students have to post. Students in the undergrad sections, you'll be gifted at one point because again, they're kind of on a different grading scale, but in the same class, so it gets kind of funky. So that's your syllabus. So please email me if you have any questions, and I'm going to go make a Blackboard one now so you can look into that.